perky demeanor and thorough technique are making you a first-class detective. There is a tall, imposing gentleman guarding the door. He appears to be wearing a German military uniform.
Please, Fräulein, we are barely knowing each other. This affair is by invitation only, Fräulein. Your papers, please. I am sorry, but I have no time to talk, Fräulein. I am the chief of security, you understand. I have much responsibility. What are you looking at? Stop scrutinizing me this instant! Danke, Fräulein. I'll return this pass when you are leaving. Enjoy yourself this evening.
It's the center of the Leyendecker Museum Rotunda, dominated by the colossal bust of the pharaoh Ramses II. You can almost feel the low level of excitement in the room. Many of these partygoers have attended hundreds of fundraising events, seeing the same people, eating the same food, talking about the same things, and generally leading very dreary high society lives. As you study everything in this room, you feel like you're being watched. Then you realize that the enormous eyes of Ramses II seem to be scrutinizing your every movement. It's a colossal bust of the pharaoh Ramses II, discovered at the Ramesseum, his mortuary temple on the Nile's west bank opposite present-day Luxor. The complete Ramses statue stood nearly 60 feet tall and weighed more than 1,000 tons. Presumably Ramses was not this large in life, although many people have stated that Ramses had a big head. You'd like to reach out and touch the Ramses bust, but decide it would be improper to touch the exhibit. Looking at a small portion of the big head really doesn't do justice to the immense size of the statue, but you can see that the bust was sculpted with extreme care, almost as if the sculptor's life depended on it, which it did. The buffet tables are heaped with food, champagne, and water. The food and champagne look good, but you're trying to stay on a diet, so you make the wise decision to leave them alone. The tablecloth is dusted with breadcrumbs and stained with grease, champagne, grape juice, and water. Neatly stacked water glasses. Some are full, some are empty. As a wise man once said, even empty water glasses have their uses. You pick it up and place it in your purse. The bottom of the glass reads, "Manufactured by Leyendecker Glassworks, Coarsegold, California." Potted specimens of the amazing giant air fern, Furnus giganteus maximus. These plants feel ferny. Yes, they're definitely ferns. It's a fine column of rare black travertine marble, quarried in the high Himalayan mountains. According to legend, these multi-ton blocks of marble were carried down to civilization on the backs of trained Nepalese frogs. Nepalese frogs are very large. The marble is very shiny and smooth. It's a semi-happy partygoer. Don't touch the semi-happy partygoer.
Hi, I'm Laura Bow.
Being snobbish high society types, these partygoers just ignore you entirely. You're simply not a part of their social circle. The semi-happy partygoers just ignore you entirely, considering themselves high above your social standing. Since you're not a recognized member of the in crowd, you might as well be a ghost as far as they're concerned. That would be rude. This short, blustery man reminds you vaguely of President Roosevelt. Despite his diminutive frame, his bearing is self-assured and cocky, and his pince-nez only adds to the aura of distinguished snobbery.
I say, my lady, please be so kind as to let me alone. I do not appreciate being mauled by people I barely know.
Good evening, Dr. Carrington.
Good evening, Miss Bow. Good evening. No, thank you. I'm very particular about my hygiene. That's more than a little rude, Miss Bow.
Have you found 1926 to be a good year for you, Dr. Carrington?
Yes, I would, Miss Bow. Frightfully good.
And what is that, Doctor?
It's not often that one gets the opportunity to head up the most respected museum in America, Miss Bow. Egyptology is all quite the fashion now, Miss Bow, but it's been a serious science for many years. I can recommend a number of fine books if you're interested.
What do you make of the theft of the dagger, Dr. Carrington?
It's simply beastly. What is the world coming to when crepuscular ruffians can invade a museum like Visigoths?
Do you have any idea who could have done such a thing?
Not at all. But if I did, I'd be tempted to teach the brute a lesson.
Do you like New York, Dr. Carrington?
To be frightfully honest, at first I found it to be a bit rough around the edges. But now I'm beginning to see its somewhat primitive charm. The Lion Decker is simply fantastic, Miss Bow. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. I don't read the newspaper, Miss Bow. I find it eternally depressing. Oh, those poor chaps do their best, I suppose. Good heavens, Miss Bow, my houseman does my laundry. I never go to public establishments when I can possibly avoid it. I've only been there once, but I found the docks to be full of pugilistic ruffians and parasite-infested rodentia. Miss Bow, I wouldn't be caught dead in one of those nocturnal dens of iniquity. Why, that's me, young lady. Dr. Archibald Carrington III, at your service. The fellow has quite an overinflated ego, but he's got a legitimate reason for it, I suppose. I'm afraid I don't know the gentleman. Oh, he's a good enough chap for a law enforcement peon. I'm not acquainted with the chap. I've never even seen the chap. I've never met your father, Miss Bow, but I have a deep respect for the minions who uphold the law. Miss Bow, I find it vaguely offensive that you would even think that I know anyone named Ziggy. Dr. Miklas is one of the museum's most respected curators. I really haven't had much interaction with Miss Delacroix. Well, of course, she is my assistant, so I guess I should correct myself and say that I do have interaction with her, but I don't know her very well, really. He's a real pip, a genuine go-getter, that fellow. He does a jolly good job of guarding the museum, jolly good. A stevedore? I'm afraid I don't discourse with proletarian ruffians of that stripe. Now there's a lady who truly supports the arts. A real patron, that old girl. Now there's an intense personality. He doesn't look it, but there's something seething below the surface. I'm frightfully sure of it. In any case, the fellow is a fine accountant. I dare say it's a bit forward for you to go about writing things about people in that little notebook of yours, Miss Bow. And some people cherish their privacy. I see you want to get a good look at our displays, Miss Bow. I have to respect that. What a frightfully dull subject. Water glasses indeed.
Dr. Pippin Carter is a tall, dignified, middle-aged gentleman with a carefully trimmed moustache.
Being a female, I'm sure you have a strong urge to touch me, but try and show some restraint.
This is quite a party. Does the museum always have a big fundraiser when they open a new exhibit, Dr. Carter?
No, but they've never had such an important exhibit opening here before. And I'm an important curator with an important salary, so the museum wouldn't have been able to keep me employed here without financial assistance.
You must be very important for the museum to go to so much trouble.
Naturally. The museum is lucky that I accepted this position as the head of their new Egyptian Antiquities department. Why, my name alone will attract more visitors and more money to the museum.
Any chance that the Tutankhamun exhibit will make a stop here on its American tour?
No. I'd hate to embarrass my relative by putting his Tutankhamun artifacts on display here. They pale by comparison to my own great discoveries, such as the dagger of Amun-Ra.
Of course. How silly of me to think otherwise.
Yes, that was rather silly of you. Young lady, if you want to ask me questions for your newspaper, that's fine, but don't just stand here trying to make small talk just so you can bask in my presence. Stop that, you silly female.
this has been a good year for you, sir?
Well, let's see. I made the most important archaeological discovery of all time. Almost everyone on the planet knows my name, and I've clinched a curatorial job I've been after for years. Yes, I'd say it has been a rather good year.
Seems to me you might have a problem.
A problem? Such as?
Well, you've accomplished so much this year. What are you gonna do next?
Next? What next? Don't bother me with such ludicrous questions, you silly female.
Since you're an expert on the subject, what can you tell me about Egyptology?
I don't have time to explain the intricacies of my profession to a neophyte. If you're truly interested, I'd suggest several years of difficult study on the subject at one of your better universities. Once you've finished that, you can talk to me again.
You must be very upset about the burglary.
Quite so. If I ever find out who stole my dagger of Amun-Ra, they won't live to regret it, I can assure you.
Oh my! Do you have any idea who would do such a thing?
I have my suspicions, but I need more proof before I subject him to the full force of my wrath.
Have the police learned anything?
Those incompetents? Hardly. They couldn't even find any clues around the dagger display.
Sounds like the burglar might have been a professional.
Perhaps. It's more likely the local constable couldn't find a clue if it jumped up and bit him on the bum.
Since you're new here, what do you think of New York? Isn't it exciting?
I hate it. It's crowded, it's noisy, and you Americans have no concept of how the class system is supposed to work. You go around treating each other like equals, which I find very distasteful. With a little work, I can turn the Leyendecker into a world-class museum. But that can wait a few months until they decide to make me the president. Dr. Carrington will have to find other employment, of course, but I'm sure some lesser museum would be happy to have him on their staff. It's one of those local scandal periodicals. The term yellow journalism comes to mind when I think of it, which means it's not much of a newspaper at all, really. It's more like printed chewing gum for the uneducated masses.
Now, wait a minute. The Tribune is a fine newspaper of the highest quality. I know because I happen to work there.
You've just proven my point.
Well, I never.
Maybe that's your problem.
I don't have to stand here and take this abuse.
All right, you don't. You could just go away and make us both happy. The police station is the last refuge for the incompetents in this city. However, if you're looking for a constable, I'd suggest one of the donut shops. People tell me Low Fats is a good place to have laundry done, but he always puts too much starch in my shirts. That's why I arrived on the steamship Andrea Doria. I came over with the artifacts for the Egyptian exhibit. Apparently Dr. Carrington was also on that voyage from England, but I never ran into him aboard ship. Keeps to himself a lot, you know. If you're referring to the local drinking establishments, they are quite illegal, and I don't condone their existence. I do drink on occasion, but only when the finest wines are available. That's me, you silly girl. If you want to arrange an in-depth interview, we'll have to schedule it later in the week. Dr. Carrington is a fine chap. Used to be in charge of the British Museum, you know. I ran into him several years ago when I visited the British Museum to consult with Dr. Butch. Seems odd that Dr. Carrington doesn't remember me, but I almost didn't recognize him either. He's getting old after all. Looks different. Memory's probably shot as well. I believe he was the Emperor of Rome just after Justinian. Ah, yes. Can't say I'm too impressed with Detective O'Reilly. Couldn't find a single bloody clue about the Durga burglary. And he has the nasty habit of chewing on grapes constantly, probably to cover up the smell of the alcohol he drinks. A crodfollow is some sort of miniature vegetable, isn't it? A potato, perhaps. He runs one of the local Chinese laundries. Pretends to be Chinese so he can get more business, but he has a terrible accent. A relative of yours, perhaps. Rather an unfortunate name, I think. Dr. Miklos is rather eccentric, but she is well educated. Received her training at one of the better universities in Athens, Greece. She's considered quite knowledgeable in the area of hieroglyphics, but her speciality is paleontology. She's fond of old bones. That trollop sleeps with everything that moves, and some things that don't. It's only by sheer strength of will that I've resisted her advances so far. Ah, yes. Heimlich's the security chief here. Not a particularly good one, obviously, since the dagger was stolen right from under his nose. And he's rather too intense for my tastes. Steve Dorian. The stevedore with a ridiculous name. He's the fellow who helped unload my artifacts from the steamship. If it weren't for his odd name, I would have forgotten him entirely. The Countess was married to the former president of the Leyendecker Museum, Sterling Waldorf Carlton. A good chap, but uninspired. Now she has her sights set on Dr. Carrington. Of course I know Ramses. There were several of them, actually. Ramses I was pharaoh during the 19th dynasty from 1307 to 1306 BC, but Ramses II made more of an impact on ancient Egypt. From 1290 to 1224 BC, Ramses II undertook a succession of gargantuan construction projects which left his mark in the face of Egypt for thousands of years. His mortuary site at Thebes, the Ramesseum, contains a temple to Amun-Ra, a royal palace, a mortuary temple, and several storerooms.
Actually, I was referring to Ramses Najir.
Never heard of him. No thanks, I already have a notepad. Don't bother me with such silly questions. It's a water glass, just the thing if you require a drinking receptacle that holds liquids.
This man looks like he's very low on moral fiber in his construction. His eyes dart around the room nervously, as if he's expecting someone to jump on him. His bald head reflects the overhead lighting.
Thanks, Toots. Touch me again.
Heard any good rumors lately?
Maybe, or maybe not. What's it worth to you?
Well, I don't have any money right now.
Then I ain't got no rumors for you, Toots.
You see a bald, greasy, unpleasant little man with overlarge paws and a sour expression.
No dice, lady. Get your own drink. This is open bar. It's every man for himself.
How was your year, Mr. Ziggy?
Superb. Simply superb. First I mix a sawbuck on the Tunny Dempsey match. Now here I am rubbing elbow grease with a hoity-toity. Thanks for asking.
Tell me about Egyptology.
We talked about that before, remember? I told you the crazy Egyptian riddle that Ramses guys passed along. I know the dagger was heisted. I might even know who done it, but I ain't talking.
If you know, why won't you go to the police?
All I got is a suspicion. I got nothing hard. Besides, what have the cops done for me lately?
This is in the interests of justice. Who are you trying to protect?
I'm trying to protect me. Now flip. You know, some days it's a rich smelting pot, but some days it's a big cesspool. But you know, you gotta rise to the top like scum and keep your feet and your nose clean. That's how I does it anyway. I know everything's not what it looks to be, but then what is? Same with all these mucky-mucks. Look, appearances can be deceiving. Me, do I look like the brother of a famous Broadway producer? No, but I am! You mean the newspaper? Not me, sister. I prefer my news straight from the horse's patootie, if you catch my drift.
Have you had any contact with the police?
Yeah, I suppose you could say that. I'm sort of a freelance detective. I find things out that the police can't, then I pass along the information. For a price.
Sounds like a most valuable service.
Oh yeah, they couldn't do their jobs right without me. Nice guys, them cops. Kiss me flush. Salts of the earth. Laundry, laundry. Oh, you mean like washing her clothes? No, I does that myself.
You're familiar with the 12th Street docks, aren't you?
Not me, lady. Mostly your unsavory types hang out down there. You seen it? I saw you in there before. It is what it is. Hey, I'm a philosopher. Augustini. Augustini, yeah, that name rings a bell. Oh yeah, ain't he the concierge at the plaza?
You've met Rube Crodfaller, haven't you?
Certainly I have. Definitely one of the most up-and-up guys I know. Keeps his nose clean, but knows how to have a good time. No, he ain't in my privileged circle of friends and acquaintances. Isn't that what they named the stiffs when they don't have an ID?
I'm sorry, but I simply have to say that your pronunciation is dreadful.
Hey, that's an insult, right?
What's up with this Ziggy Joker?
Hey, watch your mouth. You're talking to him. Can't help yous with that, Toots. The new museum press? Stodgy old guy, but a fine chap. Yeah, that's it, a fine chap. Good man. I'll tell ya, most of the cops around this town stink. But O'Reilly's different. He's okay. He really knows how to treat a mouthpiece, you know? I made some good jack working for him. That lady's scary. I've been avoiding her. Nice working, girl. I knew her when. Now she's a big hotshot museum, what do you call it? Back then, she was a streetwalker, if you catch my drift. I don't think I've heard of him. Yeah, the dock worker. I know that guy. He ain't in my inner circle, though. Don't know much about the Joe. What makes you think I knows anything about a dame like her? She wouldn't even have anything to do with me. I don't know anything about her. Why ask me?
That's odd. She seems to know you.
She did. What did she say? It ain't true. Listen, that old cow couldn't keep a secret if her life depended on it. I ain't taking the rap for her anyways. Now leave me alone before I calls the cops. Or somebody. Quiet guy most of the time. Accountant, I think. Boy, I'll tell you, those Egyptians know some crummy jokes. I don't need no notebook. I already knows everything. My papers, I never needed one. please, don't ask me, lady. I ain't touched a drop of that stuff in years.
You eye this woman with a certain amount of jealousy. Her fashionably high cheekbones, impeccably styled hair, and sultry eyes make you feel mousy and naive by comparison. Pardon-moi, mademoiselle, but now is not the time nor the place. But perhaps we can play this, how do you call it, patty cakes at another time? Bonjour, Miss Bow. Dr. Carrington told me you were covering this party for the newspaper. I'm Yvette Delacroix.
That's right, Miss Delacroix. I'm writing a social news column.
Ah, the social news. I was thinking you were here about the burglary.
The burglary? Of course not. The newspaper would never assign a female cub reporter like myself to such an important story.
Ah, you are probably being correct, Miss Bow. Miss Bow, I am not wishing to be the rude person, but I must keep mingling this evening unless you have this specific question. I am hoping you like what you are seeing, Miss Bow. I prefer the wine glass unless I am listening at the doors, no? Don't take me seriously, I am just making the joke.
Has this been a good year for you, Miss Delacroix?
Ah yes, every year is a good year for me, Miss Bow. It is all a matter of the attitude, no?
Why, that seems like a very healthy point of view.
Merci, Miss Bow. You are very kind. You should ask Dr. Miklos or Dr. Smith about that. It is terrible to think someone could break into this museum and steal something so valuable. Monsieur Heimlich, he is all broken up about it, although he doesn't show it.
How did Dr. Carrington react to the burglary?
Dr. Carrington is a very dignified man. There is not much you can learn from his face. He seems to have taken the burglary very well, although he was angry with Wolf about the poor security.
Do you have any idea who might have stolen the dagger?
There are many suspicious people here tonight who could have done it. The Countess, for example, or the little man Ziggy. But I have not the proof, you understand? New York, it is a rough place for the newcomer, no? So many people in the one place, it reminds me of Paris, but it is where all the money is, no? The Americans, they have so much more money than the French. The museum, it is such a wonderful place to work. The people, they are so friendly, and I am enjoying my work here. I intend to be the president someday. I only read the financial section of the newspaper. The stock market, it is looking so good. I am going to buy some very soon. I support the police in every possible way I can. I have never been to the police station, but I know many street cops and detectives, and they are all the gentlemen to me. Monsieur Lofat, he does some of the laundry, but I do most of the lacy and delicate things myself, no? The dogs? Ah, there are many of the men down there, and they are so big and so charming. They have been very generous to me. This Speakeasy, it used to be the good place of the business for me, no? Then I got this job, so I don't have to do that anymore.
What kind of work did you do at the speakeasy?
I was the hostess there for a while.
With your appearance, you must have gotten a lot of tips.
I suppose you could be calling it that. I got the very big tips. Monsieur Agostini, you know him? I understand he's a very powerful man at the newspaper. I would like to meet him sometime. The Codfaller. I met him only once on the train. The train was a sleeper car. It was dark, and I climbed into his berth by mistake. He will always remember that meeting, I am sure. I, unfortunately, will have forgotten it in a few months. The Lofat, I know him. The little laundry I take to the cleaners, Lofat does it himself. We have the deal he enjoys, so it costs me nothing. I do not believe I have met your father, Miss Bow, unless it was long ago and I have forgotten. I have met so many men, it is hard to keep track of them all. The annoying little man, I met him at the speakeasy long ago. But he is not my class of person, no. He is of the criminal type. Dr. Carrington, he is my superior, so I'd rather not be saying the bad things about him.
What bad thing?
He is very strange, even for a man. Ah, but you are trying to trick me, no? It's best that I am not talking about him. Ah, Monsieur Pippin, he is such a great man. And quite attractive, no? Ah, Monsieur O'Reilly, he is magnifique. He is so intelligent, so confident, so... Ooh la la.
I assume you've met him before tonight.
Oh yes, we are, how do you say, the old friends. And it never hurts to have the highly placed friend on the local police force, no?
I suppose that's true. What do you think of his burglary investigation?
People here, they keep saying Monsieur O'Reilly, his investigation of the dagger is not good, but he tries very hard. I have seen him work, but the dagger thief, he is very good, no?
He? You think the burglar was a man?
It is only the manner of speaking, Miss Bow. This burglar, she could have been the female as well. Dr. Miklos and I, we have much of the fun together. She is very friendly. Many times we have run through the museum chasing the daisy, no? Yes, I am Yvette Delacroix, but I am not one to be talking about myself too much, no? I am not like the great Dr. Carter, who has so many of the great stories to tell. Monsieur Heimlich, he is the intense fellow, no? Very military, very stiff and straight. I feel very safe around him, but I also feel uncomfortable. He patrols the museum so much. It is strange the dagger was stolen from under his nose, no?
Do you suspect him of stealing the dagger?
Who knows? I am not the policeman. But he seemed very upset about the burglary. Maybe too upset, no? Ah, this Steve, he is so big and handsome, no? Ah, the Countess, she is not what she seems, no?
What do you mean?
Her doctor's band, he was afraid of her. He told me. Then as I learned more, I was becoming afraid of her too.
Why? She seems like a nice old lady.
It is all the act, no? She is a dangerous one. Now I think she is after Dr. Carrington's money, since I am seeing them together so often lately.
I don't understand. Why is she so dangerous?
Just be trusting me, Miss Bow. Stay away from the Countess. People die when she's around.
Oh dear.
Monsieur Nagier, he is a funny little man. I see him in many strange places in the museum, but he is only the accountant for us, so I don't understand why he is here all the time.
Do you think Mr. Nagier could have stolen the dagger?
Why, because he is the Egyptian? I do not think so, Miss Bow, but I do not know him so very well. He is a man after all, and who knows how they are thinking. It is a nice notebook, Laura. Take the good notes and you'll be the good reporter. Do not look at me too closely, Miss Bow. I found the line on my face yesterday and I am still upset about it. What are you doing with the water glass? Listening at the doors? Just kidding. This snappily dressed man looks like an accountant, but there's an air of mystery about him as well.
Please, Miss Bow, I'm a married man.
Good evening, sir. My name is Laura Bow.
I am Ramses Nagier, Miss Bow. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Miss Bow. No, thank you. I'm not thirsty at the moment. Please do not scrutinize me so severely, Miss Bow. You are making me nervous.
Mr. Nagier, would you say that 1926 has been a good year for you?
Well, yes, I would have to say so. Business in America is booming, and many people need an accountant. I have not wanted for work, and my beloved wife Isis is soon to deliver our third child. I suppose I am as happy as a man should be.
Congratulations on the upcoming blessed event, Mr. Nagier. What are your other children's names?
Well, there's Horus and Ammon, and the new baby shall be named Anubis, after the wise and just Lord of the Dead.
Oh, how lovely. But what if the child is a girl?
The name shall be Anubis either way. It is a wonderful name for either a boy or a girl.
Are you an Egyptologist, Mr. Nagier?
No, not professionally. I have always been interested in the history of my country and made a point of studying it. I am particularly interested in ancient Egyptian religions.
Mr. Nagier, would you have any idea who might have stolen the dagger of Ammon-Ra?
No, but whoever did should be boiled alive. He should be fed to hungry crocodiles. His guts should be strewn from the pyramids. He should... Oh, excuse me. I get a little passionate on the subject.
Quite all right, Mr. Nagier. I understand. Do you like the city of New York, Mr. Nagier?
Well, it is a very lucrative place for an accountant to set up shop, but the city itself is rather large and frightening. Baedeker is a beautiful museum, Miss Bow, but I do not approve of the spoiling of my ancestors' tombs, much less the wanton display of their bodies and their personal effects. I enjoy the Tribune very much, Miss Bow. I read the financial page every morning of my life. The police are useless. It is not the police who will uncover the thief of the dagger. It will be his own evil deeds turned back on him like an angry cobra. I personally do not use that laundry, Miss Bow. I go to an Egyptian laundry on 44th Street. They are wonderful with linens. Oh dear, the docks are very rough places, Miss Bow. I stay away from them. I would suggest that you do the same. Attractive young ladies like yourself are the favorite prey of the jackals who prowl there at night. I wouldn't know, Miss Bow. I am a family man, and I do not frequent such scandalous places. I'm afraid I do not know Mr. Agostini. I live a very quiet life, and I do not know very many famous people. Crodfallers? No, thank you. I try to restrict my intake of sugar. It has a bad effect on me. To be perfectly honest, I do not care for Mr. O'Reilly. I do not think he sees the beauty in ancient Egypt. He has somewhat blunted his approach to others as well. I suppose that is just part of his job, however. I'm afraid I do not know the gentleman. I lead a rather solitary life, just me and my little family. John Bow is your father? I have never had the pleasure of meeting him. I have never been to New Orleans, you see. That much humidity does not agree with me. I do not know Ziggy very well, but he makes me uneasy. His eyes remind me of a jackal's. I met him briefly at the party, then avoided him the rest of the time. I have heard a great deal about Mr. Carrington, but I do not know him very well. We have only spoken once or twice, but he seems like a cultured, charming fellow. A thousand curses on that man! He defiled the tombs of my sacred ancestors for his own personal glory. He doesn't care a fig for what's right and what's wrong. His own evil deeds will catch up with him, though. Just wait and see. Dr. Miklos is a brilliant individual, but she is certainly a little strange. Oh well, we all have our foibles, don't we, Miss Bow? Miss Yvette is a charming young lady, and so friendly. She seems genuinely interested in Egyptology. We had a long discussion about tombs one time. I find Mr. Heimlich to be most intimidating. He seems to enjoy looming over people. Mr. Dorian is a very healthy-looking young man. His mother must have eaten well. The Countess is quite a colorful lady. She seems to enjoy life to the fullest, does she not? Just between you and me, she scares me a little.
Why is that, Mr. Najee?
Well, she's just too enthusiastic for me, I suppose. Why, I am Ramses Najee, Miss Bow. I am an accountant and a proud father of 2.5. I see you carry a notebook. I carry one too, in case I should think of some particularly exciting mathematical formula at an inconvenient time. How interesting. You carry a magnifier. Are your eyes poor? I am very nearsighted myself. It came from years of looking at tiny little numbers. Sometimes I carry a water glass with me as well, Miss Bow. One had to be sure to drink enough water in the wilds of Egypt, and I never quite got out of the habit.
There I was, standing on the hillside above the excavation in the Valley of the Kings, with the faithful Mahmud describing the dance of the seven veils to me in great detail, when a shout rose up from the workers below us. Sensing an important discovery at hand, since I have a sixth sense about these things, I scurried downhill to see that a step had been uncovered in the sand. It turned out to be the entrance to the temple of Amun-Ra. I took the trowel from the Boscafir and cleared the sand away from the rest of the steps myself, revealing the entrance to the temple. The seal of the necropolis was intact on the door seal, indicating that the temple had not been disturbed. I knew that fate had brought me to the discovery I had been seeking for so long. Tireless after my exertion in clearing the staircase, I used a sledgehammer to break through the sealed doorway. Within lay the greatest accomplishment of my considerable career. Hidden within the darkness, untouched for thousands of years in the isolated temple, lay the magnificent dagger of Amun-Ra, the greatest discovery of modern archaeology.
Good show.
Magnifique. Very impressive, Dr. Carter.
So, that's when you heisted it, right?
No, I didn't heist it, you annoying little man. I took it out of the temple and showed it to the workers, who immediately fell upon their faces, all 350 of them, to show respect for my accomplishment.
That's hard to believe, Dr. Carter. Egyptian workers have proudly worked the archaeological digs for many years. I would not think they'd exaggerate their respect for you to such an extent.
But then you weren't there, were you, Mr. Najee?
Well, no, that's true.
And when was the last time you were in Egypt, Mr. Najee? You seem to have lost some of your accent.
Well, it has been several years.
I thought as much.
Your discovery really was quite a remarkable achievement, Dr. Carter.
Was remarkable, Dr. Carrington? You mean, it is a remarkable achievement. There has never been anything like it before.
Quite so. Correction noted, Doctor.
If you will all be excusing me, I see a man I need to speak to.
Certainly, Miss Delacroix. Certainly.
Boy, Daddy bet she's some dish, ain't she?
Yes, those French women really have something. I don't think my wife would ever have done it in a mummy case.
In my vast experience of women from different lands, I tend to agree with you, Mr. Niger. I balked when a certain French woman suggested we have a deep conversation on the back of a dinosaur, but I was pleasantly surprised by the results.
Yes, Miss Delacroix is certainly the cat's pajamas, as the Americans would say.
Yeah, we does come up with some good sayings, don't we?
Quite.
Good Lord, I hadn't realized a woman was present. Please excuse us, Miss Bow.
Oh, I wasn't actually listening to you gentlemen, Dr. Carrington. I just happened to be standing here. Excuse me.